Joining us now for reaction in New York is Monica Crowley. She's a senior fellow at the London Center for Policy Research. And here in Washington, Tamar Jacoby. She's an immigration activist and president and CEO of Immigration Works. And Corey Lewandowski, former campaign manager for Donald Trump and co-author of the new bestseller, Let Trump Be Trump. All right, Corey, there are people, you heard my radio listeners, they are really worried. I want to hold out hope and reserve judgment for the final deal. But you heard the quotes from the president at that meeting. He'll agree to anything they say. The deal is going to get done. Comprehensive immigration reform is coming. Just that alone, and then, of course, throw in the reference to the hard right. And people aren't too happy, the ones who actually stood in line in the heat in the winter weather to see him.
This president has made campaign promises that he needs to fulfill. And if you don't fulfill those campaign promises, what we will see in November is a retaliation against the president because he hasn't done that. And the first and biggest campaign promise that he made was to build a wall. I went to all those rallies. We heard the response. We saw that we heard that Mexico was going to pay for it. This is a hallmark of the campaign that Donald Trump ran on to make sure that we're putting America first. That has been his agenda. That is what he campaigned on. And that's what he's going to fulfill as the President of the United States.
Tamar, the people like Jeff Flake, who didn't even vote for the president, he's probably closer to you in agreement on immigration than he certainly is someone like me or the candidate Trump. He said the wall will be something like maybe 700 miles, but it won't really be a wall everywhere. It'll be kind of fencing and so forth. Would that be acceptable to someone like you?
No, I think we need to secure the border. We need to do whatever it takes to secure the border. And Jeff Flake is not the only person in Congress who's working on this, and he's not the only person who said the president was going in the right direction today. So did John Cornyn and some conservative senators like Tillis and Lankford and people in the House. People in the House like Goodlatte and Labrador. There are plenty of conservative, tough, hardline Republicans who think we need a DACA deal and think a DACA deal is the way to build the wall. Yes, of course we need security. So you can't build the wall.
I mean, I think you're right. There's not the votes to do that. But obviously, you could physically build the wall.
If you want to find the money, the way to get the money out of Congress, you need some bipartisan votes.
But if people actually thought that a fortified border was important, and you conceded
I recognize that we need security on the border.
We need roads there. We need a wall.
We need sensors. We need more men.
We need a lot.
We need judges. We need all kinds of things.
So that is an absolute must-to-have. So why link it to the DACA amnesty at all? What does the DACA amnesty have to do with fortifying our border?
The president has been saying since the beginning, since before he was inaugurated, that he thought that we should do something for the DACA kids.
So de-link it. Why does it have to be linked?
Well, why not have some Democrat votes and do it in a bipartisan way? What's so wrong? Is bipartisanship bad by nature?
But the Democrats are for enforcement, you just said. I mean, you're for enforcement. I assume you're not a conservative Republican. Democrats are. Chuck Schumer said he's for
I certainly am a
enforcement.
Republican. I'm not a Democrat.
Okay, so Chuck Schumer has said many times he's for enforcement. Other Democrats, they're totally for enforcement.
But they also want to do something for the DACA kids,
right?
As does the president.
Monica, look, I want to believe in my heart of hearts that there is not some major sellout in the offing. I can't imagine the president would do that. I mean, that would be the end of his presidency. He would. I think, look, you already have people who are concerned about this, but if it goes ahead and does that, I think. Few people have given him better advice than probably, the kid. He's a kid to me. Corey sitting here, myself, and a few others. But he has a lot of friends now, newfound friends who are calling him racist, sexist, xenophobic. It seems like yesterday.
Yeah, I don't think he cares much about his newfound friends who are lavishing him with praise based on what went down in that meeting yesterday, Laura. Look, we are a little worried because we're so conditioned by establishment Republicans and others who have let us down over many decades, people on both sides of the aisle, frankly. This president is completely different. I think what you saw in that meeting, Donald Trump knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing with that strategic contradiction. Look, of all of his campaign promises, build the wall, inspired the most passionate support. I don't think he's going to let us down on that. His platform about dealing with illegal immigration once and for all, he knows he's got one shot before the end of the year in the 2018 midterm elections. He knows what he's got to do. He's got to start funding building the wall. He's got to end sanctuary cities. He's got to end the visa lottery program. He's got to end chain migration.
Of the green card holders this year.
Absolutely. He's got to accelerate deportations, and he's got to unblock those immigration courts. I know that's a tall order, Laura, but this president is up to it. That's that's what he promised,
He's
and
got to
he
do
keeps
it.
his promises.
Got to do it. It can't be whatever Durbin and Feinstein and Cory Gardner agreed to. I have thoughts for Cory Gardner later on in the show. People do not want to miss what I'm about to reveal about Cory Gardner. Lindsey Graham said this today to any of us who would dare criticize these tactics. Let's watch.
Those folks don't have to solve problems. The president does. He's got to work with Democrats to fix problems like immigration. They don't. They're pretty much outliers when it comes to where the American people are. His job is not to sell books. His job is not to carry a TV show. His job is to solve problems.
Oh, thanks, Lindsey. That was we didn't realize that. He's actually the president. Corey, take a shot at that one.
Look, the president has been brought to Washington to solve the problems that this Congress and many before them have created for the last 30 years.
That
they've
people
done.
like Lindsey Graham have created by leaving the border open.
Laura, we've seen this for 30 years. They've had the chance to fix the problems, and they haven't done so. Donald Trump has now come in, passed a massive tax reform package, the first time since the Reagan administration.
Which we celebrate.
And what the president is going to do is to fulfill the campaign promises that he outlined. What we saw yesterday was quintessential Donald Trump. He brought the cameras in.
I loved it.
He held those guys accountable. I love it. He should do more of it. Have them accountable on television.
I agree.
The Democrats hate that because they want to go and make this rhetoric and have these propaganda
But for
answers.
Lindsey Graham to be sitting at that table, you know, your friends stick up for your friends. When Lindsey Graham's sitting up at the table, and I like him personally very much, always have, Fox News and Hard Right, he tried this line in 2007. He went down in flames in 2007. They tried it in 2014. You know who's no longer here in Washington? John Boehner and Eric Cantor. You know why they're not here? Because they sold the country out primarily on immigration. Tomorrow I want to go with you on this. On the issue of chain migration, the Democrats have said, who I've been able to interview, they are not for reductions to chain migration. What is your sense on this?
Over time, we definitely need to rebalance. Too much is family migration, not enough is employment-based migration. But that's a historic change. We're going to change 200 years of history. We need to do it carefully.
That's not right.
And Democrats aren't going to be ready to do it right now across the board on this deal.
Well,
we'll make some. I think it's possible to make some changes to chain migration.
Okay, right.
But to totally change the system, I don't think it's going to happen around this
the
deal.
record, we actually changed our immigration policy in 1965, for changing it from a merit-based system to primarily a bringing in the entire family tree migration system.
Yeah, no, it used to be a country-based immigration system. It wasn't merit-based.
It was very much when we were in industrial age, when we had heavy
and
manufacturing.
it was country-based, and people brought people they knew from their relatives.
And just so
from their
Fox
country.
listeners understand what we're talking about here, there are 1 million green card grants every day, granted every year. And 44% are family migration. There are other family recipients that come in. Only 18% are jobs-related immigration.
But the families work too. The families work too.
Second cousin twice removed. The adult children, the aunt, the uncle. No, thank you.
99.9% of the families work, and families are. Republicans believe in families.
They're cheap labor for the businesses that your group represents.
Families create a social fabric.
Oh, like American families aren't the social fabric.
Yes,
we got a lot of families.
But why would you rather have a bunch of single men workers and not families?
So they're better than we are.
No. They're not better than me.
That's what you think,
no,
though,
that's
right?
not.
That the illegals coming in with all the extended family are better than the American workers.
I
can't keep their families together?
No, I didn't say anything like that. I think immigration should be legal, not illegal. But some family migration is not a bad thing.
Adult spouses and children. Yeah. Illegal people, Donald Trump said countless times on the campaign trail, need to go home and apply the right way. That's the rule of law. If you want to change the law, change it. But I'm telling you something. Compromise on this thing is going to be a bridge too far. All of you, we could have you for an hour. I wish we did.